And welcome to Chamber Chat, a partnership with Western Oregon University, WMPEG, and the Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, featuring our chamber members so the community can get to know them better both professionally and personally. Joining me first today is Jolene Hall, who is the Youth Services Librarian at the Independence Public Library.
Yep.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jean. It's fun to be here.
Now, I know, I recently saw you one night. We were out and about and happened to see you. We had a nice chat then.
Yep.
And I learned a lot about you. I know you're not originally from the Monmouth Independence area. You've been here for a while. But why did you choose here? Why did you choose to live and make a career here?
I love small towns. I'm almost a 29-year alumnus from Western Oregon University, and I loved living here and first became interested in my profession by volunteering, and then moved to a small island in Alaska for 17 years. Had the opportunity to come back to the community and remembered how much I loved it and came back.
And you've been here ever since?
And I've been here almost 11 years Halloween.
Wow. So that's, obviously it's home.
Yes, it's home.
And the time in Alaska was great, but this is where you want to be now.
I loved it, but it was a small community too. I'm not a big city girl. I will choose a small town every time. But I just remembered that the community was small, it was family orientated. It was one of those places, if you don't know what you're doing, someone else does.
I agree. My husband and I, we've lived in some larger cities, not as large like New York or Chicago. We lived in a lot of small towns, and I definitely have a preference to the smaller towns for the same reasons. It's just a nice feel.
Well, it's like, you go into a business and you're not a hey you.
Right.
It's personal. You get to know the business owners. They know your preferences. For instance, the hardware stores around here know me very well because as a youth services librarian, I do children's programming. And sometimes I have some pretty odd requests. And they just have me on speed dial. Okay, Joe, we got this for you. And they're a tremendous help.
So tell me more about your job, Youth Services Librarian.
Yes.
You're obviously children's programming, but what all do you do?
Well, aside from being on the front desk, I plan and implement fun programs for the kids. And I guess basically, without sounding and speaking in librarianese, I find a way to hook children into books.
Very nice.
As a child, I had some difficulties in school, and reading was my saving grace. And I tell kids when they come in, I've taught myself to palm a library card so it can pop up out of air. And I tell them that it's a magic ticket, that they can be anybody they want to be, they can go anywhere they want to go safely in the pages of a book. And I really truly believe that that is a key to their life. So I spend a lot of time matching children's interests with books, giving book talks, going to the schools and talking about our summer reading programs and the other programs during the year. And I want kids to feel like a library is a second home. It's a place that they belong, that it's theirs, that somebody cares about what's happening in their life and wants to help them become who they're going to be when they grow up.
That's a wonderful sentiment. Thank you for all you do. People like you definitely have an impact on children. When you provide that opportunity for kids, the escape for those who need an escape, or those who just want to have a joyful moment somewhere else.
And, well, what I tell the kids, and this is my work philosophy in a nutshell, they are the most important people in the world. They are why I do my job, and I tell them that, and it's neat to see a kid all of a sudden straighten up and smile and go, wow, she knows my name. I'm really somebody. Mm-hmm. And they truly are.
Well, the same reason you like shopping local in the smaller towns where people know you, these kids get to come into the library and you know them. It makes them feel special.
And it cracks me up when I'm out shopping and they'll go, Mom, look, it's a library.
Right.
Or even though I'm not married, it's occasionally that there's Mrs. Library. And I'm good with that.
Okay, that's fine. So, having have been a student at Western,
Yes.
and having now coming back and living here for almost 11 years,
Yeah.
what would you say is something that really makes our area unique, that just stands out to you?
I think it's the friendliness of our communities. People walk in and they're just, if they've been somewhere that's larger and they're used to being anonymous, and somebody's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And, oh, can we tell you about this or that? Or they'll come in and go, well, where's a good place to eat? So we'll recommend, places that we've been, or other services. And I see people just genuinely surprised that folks are willing to go the extra mile here, but they do. For us, I think in my towns, that's nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
That is the standard we have here.
Now, what would you say with your number of years working with children in libraries and whatnot, what's been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
One of my greatest professional accomplishments is coming back here to work for the Independence Library. I work with a team of amazing women who have been in this community a long time, who care about it. And I know she'll kill me for this, but I have a marvelous boss who leads by example. And I'm very proud to be a part of that team and to uphold the standards and practices of our library.
Well, what struck me when I saw you a couple weeks ago at this point, you referenced having to work the next day, which was a Saturday, and a lot of people would frown upon having to work on a Saturday, and your comment was, but it's okay because I love my job. And it
I
definitely
do.
shows in everything that you're saying today.
Yeah.
So what would you say has been one of your greatest personal accomplishments?
Greatest personal accomplishments? The fact that I hold 2 college degrees. And fact that I lived in Bush, Alaska for 17 years. And actually, people go, you were there on purpose? And it's like, yes. And really, I loved it.
But it's not Independence in Monmouth.
No, it is. I love this community. I truly do. What else do you do? I do a cancer fundraiser in October, and 2 of my family members were cancer. Well, one, I lost a niece who was 3 months younger than I am at 47, and my mother was a 32-year survivor of cancer. So I started doing a small tea party for 50. And I asked Paul Wright at the Pink House if I could hold it there, expecting that I was going to have to, pay something or rent it. He goes, darling, tell me whatever you need, you got it. And how many places in a big city would just hand you the key to their business, go, okay, whatever you want to do, go ahead.
Right. And I've attended your tea, and it's great. I mean, my mom and her sister, my maternal aunt, are both breast cancer survivors as well. So when I moved here and I learned about your tea, I was like, that's pretty. And the Pink House is just an appropriate place, right?
Yes.
Pink and all that. So.
And we put my fundraiser, it's literally I rope in as many friends as possible, pull out all of the stuff that I have. We put the G in grassroots, but we raise anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500.
Yeah, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
It just, for something like, hey, let's do a tea, and that's great. So,
Yeah.
one more question.
Okay.
What is a skill, a hobby, or an interest you have that might surprise people?
I was a radio disc jockey.
Awesome.
Maybe that won't surprise people because I'm known for my loquaciousness. However, I love big band music. That was the first. I had older parents, so that was the first stuff that I knew. So I produced and ran a program called Radio Nostalgia Theater, and it was the music of the 30s and 40s, all the programs, commercials, everything. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years.
And where was that?
in Unalaska, Alaska, on their community broadcast system.
How fun would that be?
It was great. I loved it.
Awesome. Now, we're taping this the beginning of April. So coming up in the summer months, we'll be doing your summer reading program. Anything
Yes.
else, quick announcement you want to share?
The summer reading program's theme this year is On Your Mark, Get Set, Read.
Okay.
And we're going to have some fantastic programs for the kids, adults, babies. We do it for everybody because we believe that families, that it's more fun when they read together and grow together, promotes a healthy family. But we'll have performers. We're having the Reptile Man back again, which the kids absolutely love. And I've gotten to hold his big python. And we're going to have, reading incentive. That's another thing. This community supports the libraries, Monmouth and Independence. I mean, they're tremendous in their support, and the businesses donate incentives for the kids and really, really support the kids, which I think is just fantastic.
Great. Well, Jolene, thank you so much for stopping by and
Thank
having
you.
a chat, and good luck with everything. And congratulations for everything. You see, you're very happy and very passionate about what you do.
Yes, I am.
Which is always good to see.
Thank you. Thank
So
you
thank
very
you.
much.
Hi, and welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now is Ben Meyer, Financial Advisor with Edward Jones. Thanks, Ben, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, tell me a little bit. Why did you decide to start your business in the Monmouth Independence area? You could have gone places, but why here?
Sure. So I actually started in Salem in June of 2000, and then they had called me because the person that was running this office decided to go do something different. And so they said, hey, you live in Monmouth. Would you mind taking over that office? And so in December of '01, right after 9/11, I moved everything over here and took over this office and been here ever since.
Now, are you originally from the Valley area?
I actually came down here from the Portland area to go to Western in '93. So I had lived in the community for a number of years. But when you don't work in the community, it's a little different feel than when you work and live in the community.
That's true. So being in Salem, obviously you didn't have the same
Right.
impression perhaps of Monmouth and Independence, but now you're living here, obviously you work here, your roots are here
Right.
for pushing 15 years.
A while. A while, yeah.
Yeah, right, we're in 2016, so this year will be your 15th year.
Yeah. No, that's true. I was here at Western. I graduated from Western Oregon, and excuse me, saw it from a student perspective, but then saw it from kind of just somebody that lived here, and then see it from a business owner perspective. It's interesting to see how differently you do look at things.
So coming from the Portland area, being a student here, working in Salem, now back here, what would you say is something that really stands out that makes Polk County or the Monmouth Independence area, but what makes this unique?
Sure. I think the accessibility, try to get involved in Salem. You're trying to build your business, get your name out there, get people to know who you are. And I think when I came to Monmouth and brought my business back here, it really helped for the accessibility to be involved, get involved in Rotary. The Chamber was one of my first things I got involved with. Ran the first Citizens Banquet, was my first job. And then eventually got on the board. And so I think being able to be involved. In some places in Salem, it's very competitive. Even if you want to get involved, you can't. And so I think being able to do that is the nicest part of the small town.
I started with the Chamber in April of 2012, so 4-year anniversary for me with the job. And your name kept popping up as I was going through different files or reading different documents, and I hadn't met you at that time. So who's this Ben Meyer person? You were definitely very involved with the Chamber. You're a president. You still are involved with the Chamber. You're not on the board right now, but yeah.
Right.
So not that you're not
from
involved,
2000,
right?
right from pretty much when I started, we used to meet in a small little area. The Chamber's come a long way, but stepped off the board in 2010. So I was there for about 8.5 years.
Wow, that's a lot of volunteer time.
Yeah, it was. I was vice president, and the president at the time wanted to be president again, and I was like, hey, great. But then that lengthened the time because then I had to be president later. So
what would you say from your experience with all your years of involvement with the Chamber, And again, thank you for that. What's been one of the greatest chamber benefit for your membership?
I think early on, certainly the exposure, getting out there, meeting people with the different forums and hearing the speakers and being involved. That's probably as my business has grown, I haven't needed as much exposure. So I think that's the greatest benefit, from that. And some people don't realize, what they can get from the chamber for not a lot of money,
right?
From an advertising perspective, and and also there's that community involvement that's not about business, but just getting to know people in your community, and then that leads to other things,
right?
So
what would you say? Well, actually, let me backtrack. Explain when it says you're a financial advisor. Let's go to your job for a little bit. What
Sure.
exactly does that mean?
So financial advisor. So that title is for people, somebody that manages money for clients. So I manage other people's money, and in ways that's good because I don't know about you, but I'm emotional about my money,
Right.
but I'm not emotional about other people's
Right.
money. And so a lot of times we make decisions in the emotions of the market going up and down, the economy, the election, whatever. And so I'm able to try to help people with, come up with their goals, build a retirement plan. There's kind of two types. There's that accumulation phase where they're trying to build, as much as they can. And then there's that distribution phase where when they retire, it's like, okay, I want my money back. How can I get it back where I can still not run out of money at
Right.
age 75 because
Right.
I spent too much. So we do a lot of planning, deals with investments, that type of thing. So just helping people try to get retired, put their kids through college, financial goals we help. That's the main thing we help with.
And you have great staff.
We do. Jean's been with me going on, I believe, 11 years, actually this next month. And Carmen's new. She's been in September. And thank you for that. You referred her. And so as Jean retires, Carmen will then step in and do more of the full-time stuff, but she's getting her feet wet.
I know when I call your office and Jean answers the phone, she's like, "This is Jean." I'm like, "Hey, Jean, it's Jean." So it always makes me kind of giggle. So now, what has been one of your greatest professional accomplishments?
I thank you for some of the questions because I was like, oh, how am I going to answer that one? Probably, coming over here, I was a little concerned going from, being a little fish in a big pond to kind of a smaller pond, and everybody's eyes are on you in a smaller community. But probably moving over here. I mean, it's been great. We have a 2-minute commute. My wife has a short commute. I can run over to my son's track meet or cross country or choir or whatever he's doing. So that accomplishes probably moving my office here.
And then all the benefits that you've received by being in the smaller community. And
Yeah. I mean, we put like 6,000 miles a year on our cars. So, I mean, it's...
I have noticed that moving here from Charlotte, North Carolina. In Charlotte, I drove a lot based on location of house to job or just to get to places. I move out here, and it has taken much longer to get miles on the car when you go 3 miles, to get to work or to the store or to whatever you're doing. It definitely takes longer for those 3-mile trips to add up to excessive miles than you're driving 20 or 30 miles.
No, I love the small town. I never thought I would, but I came to Western and just kind of fell in love with the community, and we just have never left. I married a local girl, so that helped too.
Now, what would you say personally? What's been one of your greater personal accomplishments?
I think probably family success. My son, he was just in the Statesman. He got an honor for being academic all-stars. So I think, I have 3 kids, a boy and 2 girls. And I think just, we were able to build a house recently and we got tired of moving. So we're like, well, let's just build something that we want. And so I think, the family doing well and the success, I mean, it's been great.
So how old are your children?
So Zachary's going to be 17 this next month. Allison will be 12, and Sabrina is going to be 8 in June.
Got a photo right there of your children.
Yeah, and our 3 animals. So they each
3
have
children, 3 animals.
Yeah, and that puppy is a 4-month-old puppy, and it's giving me fits.
What kind?
Just your average puppy
Okay.
chewing on everything. I mean, we have some wainscoting in the front entry, and they chewed on the wainscoting.
Nice.
Oh,
But it's cute. The puppy, not the damage.
Yes. Well, it's a good thing it is cute, because it probably wouldn't survive.
Right. So now, in the financial world with Edward Jones, is there any kind of information as far as upcoming news, things that people should be considering as far as, obviously, you were talking about helping people gain retirement, planning for retirement and planning for life when you are retired.
Sure.
Are there any types of things that people should be considering right now as different walks of life? Like, is it too late to start? Type of thing.
No, one of the things I get is people think they need, $100,000 to come talk to me, and I talked to a couple last night. They're kids of some clients that I have, and they're just getting started. They're trying. We were helping them with some of their debt and trying to get them, on the right path, because a lot of times with student loans and different things, it's difficult. So I would say, the low income environment, people that used to buy CDs and live off the income, now they're having to spend part of the CDs. So I think it's a combination of not running out of money, but maybe getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, because the financial media is just, it makes everything look so scary. It's essentially become like the political media, where they want you to watch, so that everything's dramatized completely. From there. There's some new rules coming out on Department of Labor is putting out some new rules. So IRAs over the next couple of years are going to be changing. So there's going to be a lot of questions of people and how do they manage those accounts, and companies getting out of the business and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of change coming up.
But bottom line is, you don't have to have $100,000 to invest and plan for your future.
No.
You don't have to be knowledgeable about the financial world.
Right.
You just have to be willing to take the step and to talk to someone like you specifically,
Sure.
and to make those plans start happening. Whether you have debt, loans, whatnot, but to make it happen.
Well, you want to plan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is in everything, the more that you plan, the better result
Right.
you're going to have. But if you wait till you're 55 years old to come talk to me, then there's not a lot of time to
That's
save
right.
money, even if you make a lot of money. But if we start, earlier,
So real quick, last question, real fast. What skill, hobby, or interest do you have that would surprise people? It's a fun way to end the chat.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so busy with 3 kids and 3 animals, as you saw, and my wife and all of that. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I don't know. I enjoy doing projects on the house. There's probably I'm pretty boring. There's not really anything that would surprise you. I've jumped out of airplanes when I was a lot younger, but I haven't done that since. So.
So projects, just doing things around the house that need to be done.
Right, getting stuff going. Yeah, we've got an acre, so we've got to put in some trees and landscape. So houses
Just always
are
something.
never ending. And then, with family.
All right.
That keeps us busy.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining me on Chamber Chat. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Okay.
And welcome back to Chamber Chat. Joining me now is Stephen Scheck, who is the Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs at Western Oregon University. Thanks, Steve, for being here.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Jean.
So let's just go ahead and start first. Please explain, what is a provost? I'm sure
Well,
we get asked that a lot.
That's a word that's very strange in a lot of Americans' vocabulary, and if we look at the dictionary, one of the labels for provost is jail warden, so you see that in some British movies. But no, what a provost is essentially the chief on-campus operating officer, oversees academic budgets and programming and the like, and then is part of the president's executive staff. And I explained to school children that what a provost is kind of like the principal of the school, and all the teachers report in and so on. And so it's a role that permits me to be involved in many areas of campus and work with the other vice presidents, with deans and directors. But the academic vice president part of this is, as we're in the business of education, and so that comes with that.
So now, obviously, having the title of Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, that's something that you get over years of work within the educational field. You just don't, graduate from college and become the provost. So
Correct.
what's been some of your background as far as, because I know originally you're not from this area, so obviously you selected to come to Western Oregon to work. So what's kind of been some of your background?
Right. I've been at Western Oregon for 10 years. I originally came here in 2006 to be Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and prior to that spent a quarter of a century down in the Los Angeles area in higher ed, of originally being a biology professor and moving into various types of management environments, and ultimately being an acting dean of science and engineering, and then having the opportunity to come here to be dean. And it was a good place in both our family life and my professional life to make a jump to come to Western Oregon when a dean position came out. And as a dean, and then later, after being dean for about 7 years, becoming academic vice president and provost, it's like in many organizations, you find that if you enjoy working with groups of people and being more of the conductor rather than the musician, and get smart people together to do good things, then administration is the place for you to be. And that's the role that I like to see myself doing here, is being kind of the academic conductor of some extremely smart faculty, to let them do the great things that they do.
Let them do it well while you do what you do well.
That's right. That's right. And as we know from the management gurus and the like about to be successful in life, surround yourself with really smart people.
Right.
Hopefully that are smarter than you are, and that's the enjoyable environment that I have here at Western.
So in your years of living in this area, what would you say is one of the unique features that really stands out that makes us different here?
I grew up in the middle of western Kansas, where there was one tree for every 27,000 square miles, but out of that came the enjoyment of being in a rural environment, but also having the opportunities that cities provide and the like. And if I had to say what is the most remarkable thing about the Monmouth Independence community, and we can throw Western into that,
Absolutely.
is it's got a little bit of everything. It's got rural, it's got agriculture, it's got the culture that cities can provide, and of course this is the great role that a university provides to the Monmouth Independence community, is a lot more of the cultural programming and opportunities that many communities the size of Monmouth Independence, depending on where they are and if they don't have a university associated with them, are in kind of a void for that.
Correct.
But I joke with individuals that will ask, well, what's the biggest adjustment that you had to make in moving from Los Angeles to Monmouth Independence? And it was, I traded in my hour and 15-minute one-way commute for 8 minutes and got to spend more time doing the work that I enjoy doing.
Do you miss that hour and 15-minute commute?
No, not at all, not at all.
Could you imagine doing it again? Or something like that?
Well, the downside is you don't get to listen to as many books on CD or something. But that's also why I think when we talk about Monmouth Independence and the commerce that's here, the people that are here, that it really is a great place in Oregon to be, because you can have the 8-minute drive to work, or you can have the go down to the Riverside Park or come over to the WOU campus and enjoy this smaller town atmosphere where truly people do know your name. And when you walk into storefronts and you're not just another of the thousands of strangers coming in. But at the same time, with our location next to Salem and close to Portland, as a resident, we get to have the opportunities that those cities provide too.
Right. Now, what would you say professionally has been one of your greatest accomplishments?
I think if I had to classify what that is, it actually would go back to the first academic position that I got using my doctoral degree. You go to college for many, many years, you want to say, okay, I have arrived. And little do you know how much more is in store for you. But again, as a first generation kid growing up in Kansas, to think that, gee, through going to school and being trained to be able to do a particular occupational task, college teaching, that making that first jump is probably the biggest one. Everything else is just incremental then.
I like that. So let's go personally. What has been one of your greatest personal accomplishments?
Now, I know it sounds like I'm just campaigning for why go to college, but I would have to say the personal accomplishments, we could say, family and so on, and it really does tie to that, and that was going to college was a personal accomplishment for me. I met my wife in college, so I'd say that was a significant personal
Absolutely.
accomplishment that's been lingering for 40-some years now.
She's a lovely woman.
But also, I think any parent that's had a child go off to college and graduate can identify with it. The other personal accomplishment I really do think is tied to college also, and that's that both my son and daughter graduated from college and can move on, into their lives and what impact that can have.
Because obviously in college you learn the academic part. You go to classes and you learn that, but there's also a lot that you learn in college as far as being on your own and what it's like to not have the family support structure perhaps there to do help guide as needed.
Very much so, and indeed, when I used to be active in the classroom or advising students, that I'd always talk to students that in college especially, going to class is part of your learning process, but a significant amount of it is going to happen in the hallways, stopping to talking with your professors, working in student study groups, and preparing yourself for going out into that real world out there.
And all the friends that you make and those long-term relationships
Right.
that, like, you have a wife because of your college experience.
That's right.
Now, when looking at Western Oregon, we're taping this at the beginning of April. You had an exciting season with the men's basketball team. This past season, the football team also had pretty exciting. There's a lot of excitement within the athletic programs in general. You've got the Smith Fine Arts series. You've had the theater productions. You've got a lot with the culture or the art side of things. You've got your cultural speaker series, the lecture series. So what's Western looking like right now? Anything coming up for the summer, for the fall?
Right. I think there are a lot of exciting things with Western, and one of the initiatives that President Fuller and Chamber of Commerce and the two cities are working on is for all of us to have a more centralized calendaring program or way to know what is happening in the cities and the university, because there are a tremendous number of things that do go on.
Yeah.
And if you happen to read the Itemized Observer a day late, well, you missed out on that Wednesday night activity. But again, I think the excitement about this university, with it being independently governed, with a board of trustees that is 100% committed to what can Western be in the future and what service can it provide to the state, is going to be very exciting. And coming up, beginning very shortly, will be launching of the university's formal strategic planning. It's going to involve a steering committee that will be over 20 people in size and be both campus individuals and community individuals, but to be involved in really charting the course for what will the next 20 years, 25 years for Western be, and what does it mean to have Western Oregon University here in Monmouth and Independence.
Well, that sounds like an exciting project. Good luck with that. 20 people on a steering committee sounds equally
Probably
as
20 plus,
exciting.
yeah, but there will be opportunities, and we really do call out to the community to this is your university also.
Right.
You know, Western is one of these kind of odd universities that the state, back when it was the State Board of Higher Education overseeing us, and now the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, of yes, we are a regional university, but we're not a regional like the other regional schools are, in that we are sandwiched with major universities around and many privates and many other kinds of industry to generate commerce. But we are almost like the state's liberal arts university, but also a comprehensive university. And so a lot of exciting things that we can plan for in the future.
Well, I have one last question that's definitely my favorite that I get to ask, and very quickly, because we're we're almost out of time. What has been, or what is a skill, an interest, or a hobby you have that would surprise people?
Well, I suppose one could wonder about, professor types and that they're always, if they're not at work, they're at home reading some kind of really high, sophisticated stuff. And I'll have to admit that some of my favorite hobbies are to do binge watching on Netflix on the weekends, but also getting out and playing with the landscaping on the house. I have a lot of people pass by me and see me pushing my push lawnmower and thinking, gosh, why not hire a lawn service or get a riding lawnmower? And I guess I'm getting back to communing with grass, wheat in Kansas, grass in Oregon.
Right.
So it's playing out in the dirt.
Playing. All right, then. That might be the caption I use. Well, Steve, thank you. It sounds like obviously there's a lot going on with Western. The steering committee sounds very interesting to see what comes out from that. So good luck with everything, and just thanks again for being here.
Okay, well, it's enjoyable to spend some time with you.